And hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Off record, Wasted Years. This is the latest full-length LP from California hardcore punk outfit Off, a band that is pretty much infamous for its throwback punk rock sound. A sound that literally works off the blueprint of Black Flag's Nervous Breakdown 7-inch, an early release from the hardcore punk outfit which the lead singer of Off, Keith Morris, was on in the short span of time in which he fronted the band Black Flag. Then he actually went on to front Circle Jerks, and the other members of Off are seasoned vets as well, bring experience and connections to seminal acts in punk rock, or just underground rock in general. And to be completely honest, while, yeah, this band is a bit of a throwback, I don't really mind this flavor of punk rock coming back, especially since I think the sound of the Nervous Breakdown EP, as well as a lot of the tracks from the first 4 years compilation from Black Flag, had a lot more potential than they were actually given in the short amount of time that these songs were made. The return of this sound was on Off's debut, first 4 EPs, back in 2010, a release that was a fantastic continuation of these old hardcore punk tropes, except with more clarity, more composure, I think more maturity too, but in a good way. It's like at this point hardcore punk finally has the experience and the knowledge to justify the incredible anger it's always harbored for all these years. And it's hard for me to boil my love of this record down to nostalgia considering how well this sound is being performed on this thing. Not only that, but a lot of the issues addressed in the lyrics feel pretty current. Now, when Off came back with a self-titled record in 2012, it was a bit of a redo, the same sound, a lot of the same aesthetics, although a little less impressive because of the redundancy in sound and everything in comparison with their last album. And on top of that, the mix on this thing was slightly out of whack. The guitars and the vocals just kind of felt out of proportion. However, these mixing issues seem to have been fixed on this latest release from Off, Wasted Years. There's a lot more instrumental balance on this LP, although in comparison with previous releases, I would say it's a tad heavier. But outside of that, Off's style really hasn't changed in any significant kind of way. They are still delivering high-octane punk rock with a vintage flair that couldn't be more convincing. If they haven't impressed you yet with their previous releases, chances are they're not going to be impressing you with this one. And if they have been impressing you, I guess the question is, how long can they continue doing it, as they seem to just be kind of repeating themselves? For me personally, as long as Off continues to do this sound well and do it justice, they will most likely have my ear in some capacity. And for me, doing this style of music well means memorable riffs, it means visceral performances, it means hearing Keith Morris's uncompromisingly angry and socially aware lyrics. As indebted to the past as they are, I think Off makes really captivating punk rock music, with an infectious energy, punchy messages, and relatively short song lengths. As far as what these songs are about, I'm loving a lot of what Off brings to the table, like being voided out by the powers that be, being broken down, ground up in the land of the free. It's moments like this where Keith Morris's incredible sarcasm as he recites patriotic lines like this that really makes the track. Same goes for the track Red, White, and Black, where the lyrics address things like your possessions being repossessed and surveillance, or the song All I Can Grab, which is a track about extreme greed, or Over Our Heads, which seems to be a track about the imperialistic wars that are being waged right now. As I mentioned before, the riffs on this thing, a lot of power chords, they're pretty speedy. Every once in a while, Off really changes up the pace by doing a slower riff, maybe a breakdown, something a bit heavier, a bit more menacing, like on the track No Easy Escape. Every once in a while, there's a chaotic guitar solo or a bright wailing guitar lead. So yeah, there is a very slight degree of variety on this LP, but it's just 23 minutes of incredibly fast, aggressive, socially aware music. So it does tend to run a little homogeneous. And maybe this becomes more apparent when some of the lyrics on these tracks aren't that gripping, because then all that you really have to ride on are the riffs, which tend to sound similar to other riffs on this very album, like Legion of Evil or Wasted Years, the title track on this thing, and the similarities run even deeper when comparing these tracks to songs that Off have released on their previous records. If there's more than one way to skin this cat, Off is certainly not interested in finding out about it. They definitely flirt with that idea on the track You Must Be Damned, which is 1 minute and 50 seconds long, which is almost like progressive rock length for Off. And generally, a lot of the songs on this LP are longer than tracks on previous releases. There's not a single song on this record that dips under the 1 minute mark. However, these longer songs and this extra effort on this record doesn't really add up into any meatier or more detailed songs, any increase in ambition and the songwriting style that Off brings to the table. Off does not use this time to make their hooks stickier. Off doesn't use this time to add any real major surprises into this record. I can't say I'm disappointed because I did get what I expected from Off. I got a good hardcore punk record. However, I feel like Off is at a point where they have proven that yes, they've resurrected the hardcore monster. It's back from the dead. However, I feel that, well, why not experiment with it a bit without completely bastardizing it and continuing to do the genre justice? Or at least change up the riffs or add more melodies, things that are going to make these songs feel distinct from other songs the band has previously recorded. If any group is capable of doing either of these two things, it is Off. I have complete faith in their ability to go down that road if they so choose to, but as of right now, I'm just kind of feeling a decent to strong 7 on this new LP of theirs. Transition, if you've given this LP a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Off, Wasted Years, forever.